I'm Sheriff Todd Glander, and today we're going to give you a little tour of our new jail, which isn't quite open yet, but we're planning to get it open here real shortly.
And I'm Paula Peterson, and I'm the jail administrator for the Becker County Jail. And this is Chris Burton, and he is the assistant jail administrator. And we'll be showing you around.
Yeah. So today what we're going to do is we're going to start where an officer would start when they come to the jail with a prisoner. And this is our security garage. And as you notice, it's a drive-through garage where if an officer brings in a suspect, they can pull in and park and keep this area open so we can have multiple cars coming in at the same time rather than having to pull their vehicle out each time. So a lot of times the officer spends several minutes to up to an hour booking in an inmate depending on what the charge is. So we just want to have that area for them to do their paperwork and get their job done so they can go and do their work. So then we'll go into our pre-booking area. So then the officer will come in this area. This is our pre-booking area where they do their paperwork, the officer's paperwork. They admit the suspect to jail. They sign in what their charge is and how the inmate will, or what the next step is for the inmate, whether it be releasing after a certain period of time or being held for court, or if there's a bond. That'll be done here, along with DWI processing will all be done in this area right here. So after the officer is done with the suspect in the booking area, the pre-booking area, they will then be transferred out here to the booking area where the jail staff will then book the inmate into the jail. Depending on the status, we may have more than one person. So if we have to put somebody into a holding cell, this is the area that they would be spending some time in until the jail staff is ready to book that person in. And I think from this point, I'll have our jail administrator, Paula Peterson, take over.
And while the person that has been arrested is housed in this area, they will be fingerprinted, completely processed. They will get a medical assessment at some point by medical, but they will pretty much reside in here until their first court appearance. So we do have the ability right now to house up to 14 people in our booking area compared to 3 in our current facility. So we will be able to keep all of our, usually our newly arrested inmates all in the same space, and it should make it a lot easier to continue with the process after they make it to court. While they're being processed, all activity that is happening inside the facility is being monitored by this camera in our master control area. They do have the ability to open doors, view all of the activity inside the building, and it adds another extra layer of security on top of the fact that we do have also our corrections officers interacting directly with the inmates out on the jail floor. Master control is basically, we have it configured so they're in an area where probably the least amount of inmate activity is going on, which is our minimum security area. And so we do have 3 dorms of varying sizes, and they allow us to have inmates broken up into smaller groups than they are currently in our current minimum security, which is 48 beds. This does allow some day room space for the minimum security inmates, and it does allow them also, if they do work a night shift, that they could have a chance to get some sleep, because the sleep areas are separated from the day room areas. This is obviously, with running such a larger facility, all with operations centralized, we do need quite a bit of a larger laundry room to be able to clean inmate clothing, whether it's for work release or the daily clothing exchanges that happen inside a jail. If we're housing, at this point in time, we are able to be staffed to have 120 inmates.
So with our current staffing at our max jail, where the sheriff's office is, and our minimum security, which is on Randolph Road, we are going to combine those staff so we can operate under one facility. So we can operate up to 120 inmates with our current staffing.
One of the changes that will be happening is we will have men correctional health care come into our facility to take care of our medical for our inmates. Currently we do have county Sunnyside nursing come into the jail. With our new correctional health care, they will be in here. We will have a nurse and a medical health tech here 40 hours each week to see inmates. They can take care of those basic health complaints. We also will have a doctor that will come in once a week to see inmates for anything above and beyond what a RN can handle. This is one of the exam rooms that we have in our facility, and it is going to be set up to do mental health assessments. That is part of the Men Correctional Health Care contract. And so right at this point in time, they will be seeing mental health professionals via webcam, and they will be able to do that privately in here. They will also be able to restore some care if they have not been keeping up with their mental health provider prior to their arrest. They will be able to resume or restore care. We also have an exam room that is set up so that when the doctor comes in once a week to see patients, they will be able to see them in this exam room. And again, it's about restoring care and making sure that they get the medical necessary care that they need. Now, while in custody, each inmate has the right to consult with an attorney, and this is where they will be able to do that. They will be able to do it privately. There is no audio or visual recording in here, and so the inmate will come in on this side, and their attorney, mental health provider sometimes, it could be human services, will be on the other side of the jail on the public side of the building. And as we walk along the hallway down here, this is our general population housing. And after the inmates have been completely classified, they will come here and they will go into the housing area that is appropriate for their classification.
And we've talked about a modular style facility compared to a linear, which our current facility is a linear facility. Which means once you leave your office, you're pretty much out of sight from other staff until, other than the use of cameras. This is a modular style. With that, we can see into several different jail pods in this style. So one person can monitor several different areas at the same time.
And essentially, all the inmates are basically seen either via a camera, through glass, or directly at all times.
Once somebody is sentenced, they're going to go into our direct supervision area, which this area holds 56 beds.
And this is our largest housing pod. Most of the other pods are either 12 or 16 beds.
So typically somebody who has been sentenced to less than a year but does not have work release, they will be placed in this area.
One of the changes compared to our current facility over this one is all of the housing units where you may be spending an extended period of time as an inmate all have natural light coming in through skylights. In our current facility, there's very little natural daylight, and I think it also helps with that feeling of being so enclosed, because you do have kind of a little bit more of access, or feeling that you have an access to the outside world a little bit by seeing the sun at least. All the programming, with the exception of 2 smaller areas, the programming all happens down here. And so we do have our program B, Each jail is required to provide some programming while an inmate is incarcerated. So we do have people that come in for Bible study, church services. Occasionally we've had people coming in for parenting classes. We also have adult basic education that comes into our facility where people can work on their GED or post-secondary education. We also have a room here that is set up so that we can allow for GED testing. They also are able to do job search from these computers, so it's limited access, but it does allow them an opportunity to get a start on life outside of the facility after their sentence is completed. One of the other changes is we do have a small outdoor rec in our existing facility, but you can't really do anything in there. The space is too small. So we did get this gym, and it's similar in size and style to the gym at Kanabec County that this facility is very similar to and based on. So we do allow the inmates, they will be able to play basketball, work out. We will also have gym equipment here for them to either work on health and fitness, or they can do handball, ping pong, something to do to kind of break up their day and keep them busy and active. And because we have a facility that can house up to 186 inmates, we also have to have a kitchen that can prepare meals for that amount of people. So right now we're a little bit in transition, getting equipment installed and getting equipment brought in, along with cookware, trays, carts, other types of items that you would need in a typical kitchen. And we also have a large freezer and refrigerator capable of storing food that you would need to serve inmates in a building that houses 186 inmates.
So we have Summit. The company's name is Summit, and they are the kitchen staff for the jail, and that's who we currently use also. With the kitchen staff, we'll have 2 inmates working with them at all times, preparing the meals and also cleaning dishes and prep for the next day also. So when anybody from the public comes to see an inmate, they're going to come to this entrance first, and once they're in here, they'll have to speak to our jail staff in order to get into the jail. Once they're cleared to go in,
they'll be buzzed through.
And this is a public waiting area. We will have chairs out here for the public, but they'll be able to wait here until staff can accommodate them to their visiting or attorneys to see their clients and any other questions that may arise that they're here for.
And this is also the same area that people will report if they need to be fingerprinted for employment or for a criminal charge. So that's a little bit of a different process, because normally if you were making a court appearance, you could go over to the jail, which is attached, but now you will have to come out here to have printing processes done.
When the jail moves to this site, the sheriff's office will remain in the same location, which is on the south end of the courthouse, to include dispatch, all the deputies, investigators, and our clerical staff. So when people want to get their gun permits, they still go to the sheriff's office for that. Or if they want to report a crime or an incident, they still go to the sheriff's office. So just the jail and staff will be moved to this location. So with that, we have our jail administrator area. So this will be the area where when the public comes in, the clerical staff will be here, and they will allow them to go in, or they'll find out who they are and what their purpose is for coming here, and that'll all be decided in this area.
This is our program room, training room set aside for public meetings. It's also set aside for public use, but we also will have triad meetings here. We may have DOC meetings here. We may have auxiliary reserve meetings here. It is possible to reserve it ahead of time. You would just have to check with our jail secretarial staff to see if it's available. This is the area that professionals will also come in for inmate contact professional contact, but also for inmate families. They will be able to come in this area and have inmate visitation. And this will be a change over our current visitation, which is through glass. There will be kiosks here set up so that inmates will be able to speak with their families from their housing unit, and the inmate family will speak here, and they will be able to see each other split screen to some extent so that the families can see each other. All visits will be recorded. However, if you are having professional contact, those visits are not recorded and those are separate. These areas allow for private conversations with attorneys, human services, chemical use assessment people, DOC, your probation officers, that type of personnel. And then on the other side of this contact booth is the inmate side of contact. They are inside the secure side of the jail, and so they will just meet over that phone. And we did see that on the prior, earlier in our tour.
So as you can tell, there's still a lot of work going into this process, but it's been a long-awaited transition. And we're looking forward to getting our inmates back from boarded counties. Right now we have boarded in roughly 5 different counties, and it'll be good to get all of our inmates back under one roof. And again, there's been a lot of hard work that has gone into this. Paula Peterson and the transition team, Chris, the assistant administrator, they've all worked very hard getting this transition part done with a hopeful move in early part of March.